It's okay to kill your plants. It's okay to kill your plants. Hear me. It's okay to kill your plants. Join me today as I share with you when to kill your plants on purpose. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and over the last 3 decades, I have killed thousands of plants. Some of them by accident, many of them on purpose. This bed right here is filled with plants that are just now starting to emerge in spring. And I grew all of these plants specifically to kill. That's what I'll be covering today. 3 primary areas of your landscape, garden, and indoor seed starting, where killing the plants is really what you need to do. All of the plants in this bed, the ones that are now actively growing and the ones that have already died, are a variety of cover crop plants. And I have them in this bed specifically to improve the soil. There are a number of reasons why you might want to grow cover crops. One of those reasons is to improve the soil. And that's what I'm doing in this bed. Last autumn, I planted a substantial variety of plants in this bed, knowing that some would die over the winter and some would emerge. But my intent is to take these plants, living and dead, and take that biomass, incorporate it into the soil, and help build an abundant soil life that will benefit the plants I'll grow later on. Well, for that to happen, these actively growing plants right now have to die. I'll start off by cutting them down, and then I'll turn them into the soil. And in their death, they're going to benefit all of the plants to follow. I have garlic growing in this bed, and that's all that I'm growing right now intentionally. So any other plant that appears doesn't belong in this bed. We often just call this weeding. You're pulling out weeds. Weeds aren't always something like this grass that I can pull up and then just drop back on the surface. Sometimes weeds are plants that we would normally grow in our garden. I grew spinach in this bed 2 years ago and let it go to seed. Last year, some of those seeds germinated and grew, and I had spinach growing in this bed. It was interfering with some of the other plants that I wanted to be growing, and so the spinach ended up being a weed that I had to kill so that the other plants, like all of this garlic, would continue to grow and do well up to harvest. Whenever I see these plants growing where they're not supposed to, I just pull them out every day. I have more garlic growing in this bed. Now, with some plants like garlic, where we plant individual pretty good sized cloves, or beans where we have a really big seed, it's pretty easy to get the spacing that we want in the plants. But for other plants, and carrots are a good example, the seed is so small that when we sow those seeds, inevitably we put too many seeds in one location. Too many seeds germinate, too many plants begin growing. And to get a good sized carrot, you don't want it surrounded by a whole bunch of other little carrot plants. So we thin out a plant like carrots. We prick out those other plants that we don't need and leave behind a single plant at the spacing we're looking for. This is a normal part of gardening, thinning out the plants so that the strongest individuals will survive. But it is killing the plants. It's something we have to do. The decision to kill plants in other areas of our garden and landscape can be much more difficult. This is a little apple tree. I planted it a couple years ago, and last year we had an extremely cold night in mid-spring. Cold enough to kill most of the branches on this tree. It did kill many of the other trees in my garden. When a tree is dead, it's a relatively easy decision to dig it out and put something else in that spot. But when you have a tree that is still living, it becomes a difficult decision. At what point do you give up on it, and how much effort do you want to put into saving the tree? This tree used to be much taller, and it still has branches that are alive. But I've already been set back 3, maybe even 4 years by trying to keep this plant alive until I can reach the point of harvest. So as painful as it is, it makes more sense for me in this mini orchard area to just go ahead and accept the loss. Accept that it's going to take a long time for this tree to recover, and instead kill it, dig it up, and put a new tree, a bigger tree, a stronger tree in its place. I had to make another decision like that about 20 years ago with my raspberries. I had a fantastic patch, about 20 feet long and about 3 feet wide, filled with a few hundred raspberry plants that gave me great harvests for a couple years. And then one year, raspberry cane borers found my raspberries. And within a 2-day period, all of the canes had fallen to the ground because that insect lays an egg and then the larva eats the cane from the inside out. I lost an entire year's harvest. Well, I had a couple choices. I could gamble, leave those plants in the ground, and then the next year maybe get a harvest, maybe have more cane borers show up. Instead, I dug up and killed all of those raspberries and put in a different variety that, because of the way you grow it, is not as susceptible to the raspberry cane borer. And that's what I'm growing now in the garden. It's a heritage raspberry. I learned the hard way that heritage does best for me, and I had to kill off all of the other raspberries I've been growing for years. The decision of what plants to kill and when to kill them is seldom easy, and I have the most difficulty with it in my grow room with all of these seeds that I put into soil with the intent of growing plants. But as time goes on and as these seedlings germinate and begin growing, sometimes growing all of these plants is a bad idea. Take a look at these tomatoes. I'm growing 12 different varieties, and so many of the seeds germinated that I have more than 150 tomato plants. Now, I have a pretty big garden, but it's not so big that I can grow 150 tomato plants. I'm planning to grow between 20 and 30 this year. That means just for me, about 120 of these plants need to die. Now, I hate that idea. So I am planning on potting up a substantial number, giving them to neighbors and friends and family, and that'll make me feel a little bit better. And I'll also be potting up some of these tomatoes to donate to my garden club plant sale. But when I add up all of those plants and the pots required for me to keep them growing, I'm still going to be killing between 80 and 100 tomato plants. That's painful. That's extremely painful. And maybe I shouldn't have used so much seed, but I had a lot of seed to use. The plants need to die. I just can't leave them alive. Most of the time when I have too many plants growing in one of these cells, I'll do everything I can to divide those plants and pot them up into individual containers, but not for 150 containers. I also do that out in the garden. Beets have a seed, which is really a small fruit made up of multiple seeds. So when you plant a beet seed, you're going to get multiple plants grow from that single location. I do everything I can to separate out those little seedlings outside after they've emerged so that I don't have to kill those plants and so that I can spread the number of beets I have. But at some point, you're going to run out of room in your bed. You're not going to be able to save everything. It's tough, but some plants have to die. Even all these beautiful tomato plants that are just beginning their lives. One of the reasons I got a greenhouse was to expand my growing space so that I had a location for more plants. But ironically, greenhouses can actually add to the problem. You can start growing plants in here earlier than you might otherwise during the winter or early spring months. You might be able to have plants growing in here well into the winter. That just means you're probably starting to grow more and more plants because you have a greenhouse. And with the more plants you grow, you're going to encounter more decisions as to which plants survive and which plants die. Just be aware of that. As you add beds, as you expand your garden, you're going to increase the times where you might have to make that hard decision. And that decision can be hard, but remember, it's okay to kill your plants. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.